welcome Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan here with Trevor. Oh wait, no, it's just Keith. What's up, buddy?
Give it here, D-man.
How you doing?
Good. How about you?
You're supposed to say, never better.
My bad.
Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're breaking down some box office bangers, and this week we'll be discussing 2001's much anticipated Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, directed by Chris Columbus, not Christopher Columbus, the genocidal maniac. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to, or a movie for us to read or watch, you can reach out to us on any past episodes. You can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So please download, give us a review, and follow us on social channels. Please and thanks. Keith, we continue our run into and through the wizarding world with the movie Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone after we just finished the book. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I honestly don't even know why they changed the name Philosopher's Stone to Sorcerer's Stone. I've read up on it, and it still doesn't make a lot of sense about like U.S. children not really understanding philosopher or something. I don't know. But what would be even more frustrating is when you make the movie, because it had a UK release, is you have to film the scenes where you say Philosopher's Stone. You have to film them twice. You got to film it once where you're saying Philosopher's Stone, and then again where you're saying Sorcerer's Stone. It just trickles down.
Sorcerer's Stone sounds better. People be that upset if I wouldn't care if they say philosophers, although actually I would. So never mind. I take that back.
You would? After July 4th, you're like, no way.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Let's start with some stock up, stock down. Keith, stock up, what do you got?
Stock up. Realizing your quote-unquote smart uncle or friend's dad is actually just a drunk racist. Stock up.
Okay.
By uncle or friend's dad, I mean the Sorting Hat.
Got it.
In the book, correct me if I'm wrong, the Sorting Hat's like this whimsical, magical, special hat. It's like a fairy godmother. It's like, well, we're going to put you in the right place. Where I'm going to sing this song. Oh, this is such a cool hat.
Yeah, okay.
When we get to the movie, it's slurring words. It's drunk, I'm pretty sure. It's like, all right, who's up next, you fuckers? I'm like, wait, what? It's closer to Billy Bob Thornton's Bad Santa than it is to the fairy godmother.
Oh,
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Almost like Randy Quaid in like National Lampoon's Christmas or something like that.
Exactly. You think, oh, it's just like so smart that it knows what to pick, but really it's just kind of this racist hat. Like Malfoy comes up, it doesn't even put the hat on the person. He's like, oh, I know this person. I'm putting him in the group I think he's in. Right away, says his name.
Yeah.
Ron Weasley comes up and verbatim, I'm not even like making this up. It says, another Weasley. I know just what to do with you. Calls out Gryffindor. So he's not even an individual now. He's just a Weasley.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason he has this inferiority complex is because he's just like grouped in with everyone else. And this hat just does that perfectly. It's just like, I know what you're all the same. So I'm just putting you the same thing. I'm not going to even think about any individualisticness about you. You and your siblings are all exactly the same to me. You all get put in this one group.
I get it. Hermione puts the hat on. He's like, oh, mudblood. What do we do with the mother mudblood? What happened to the rules of this place? Why don't we change things up here? I guess we'll put her Gryffindor. That's interesting. That's an interesting take. The hat itself, which I thought visually made a lot of sense. Liked it. Big fan. Not sure about the voice, though. And maybe it's just because, like you said, it sounded like a drunk uncle, but it was a bit gruff for me.
Yeah. Like I said, it was like slurring, I'm pretty sure. So it was like, yeah, who's up next? Like,
maybe like whatever actor they hired to play that part, he just came in drunk and they're like, well, he only has like 4 lines, so let's just do this. We can't change the whole schedule for this guy. All right, my first stock up is child exploitation. Stock up.
Okay, all right.
I think, especially when this movie came out, we could have got ahead of the train there because nowadays with social media, I mean, people are exploiting their children left and right. It's crazy. You know, these kids are making millions of dollars and parents are taking all the money. But for this film, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, at the time, I mean, we kind of forget because we're just looking back on it, but 2001, Sorcerer's Stone was a phenomenon, you know what I mean? It was like, no matter what happened with this movie, it was going to cash. So the concern for me as a parent of my child would be, let me make sure I get some of that money. But
right, of course.
Daniel Radcliffe, he made $1 million for his role as Harry in this film, and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint, Hermione and Ron, respectively. They made less than that, obviously. They're not going to make more than Harry. But the film made over $1 billion with a B, dollars. Your main cast, your big three, is making pennies. It'd be like that Celtics run in 2008 when you got KG and you got the Truth, Paul Pierce, and then you got Ray Allen, and you're just paying them absolutely nothing, and the team's making everything on the back end.
Well, I think that's just because they had all the leverage. It's like, well, you can be in this franchise and become a multimillionaire, or we'll just cast someone else because we know it's going to be a success. It's not going to be based off of your talent. It's going to be based off of the franchise, right?
Wow, you just had to do that. You just had to knock me down.
I'm sure once they got to movie 3, I mean, this is how TV series works too, but once they got to movie 3 or 4, they're like, okay, now they have all the leverage because nobody wants to see just a new guy and be like, who the fuck's this guy? Who's this Harry? Like, I don't even know who this guy is. So they all of a sudden have the leverage all of a sudden. So I'm sure they made more money in the future ones.
You know what really pisses me off? Not me, not Hermione, you. Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe made like $50 million for each of the final, like the Deathly Hallows movies, and Grint and Emma Watson made like $30 million each for those. It's just crazy to me that you have to commit to these actors for 8 movies. I mean, I don't know if at the time they knew they were going to make it 8, but they definitely knew they were going to make 7. So you're like going to commit to these actors for the future, and you find them when they're this young. And Harry was the only one I think that had like a decent amount of acting experience.
Oh, is that right?
From what I understand, like he was doing plays and like big ones, and the rest of the people were not so much, but whatever.
The first time I heard Ed Sheeran, I saw that music video, Lego House, that's what it's called. Anyways, the guy that plays Ron is in the music video, and I was like, oh, so this guy's just a singer? I didn't realize he was a singer. I'm like, this sounds pretty good. All right, I'll give him some credit. And then it turns out he just looks like him. But forever, people are like, Ed Sheeran's on. I'm like, oh, did you know this is the dude that that plays Ron in Harry Potter? Everyone's like, what? That's not right. I'm like, no, it is. I've seen the music video.
They're like,
you've seen the music video I'm talking about, right?
No, I don't think so. When you say that to someone, they're probably like, you know who's an idiot? Not me, not Hermione, you.
Is that what you're just saying? All right, I'll
yeah. It's just so great. I think that when she just says never better, and maybe give it here, Malfoy, or I'll knock you off your broom. It got to be the top 3. This is the only like quotables in this thing. They hit so bad. What is your next stock up?
Professor McGonagall's gambling account. Stock up.
Yeah, let's go, baby. You're in.
This is a callback to last episode when you went on a 10-minute rant about Professor McGonagall's betting habits. And frankly, I was lost. I don't think any of our listeners understood what was going on. The only thing I know about gambling is how to put money on a team that's going to lose. That's how I gamble.
Yeah.
You know that like Family Guy clip where it's like, do you want to bet on a team? And you just like, no, just take my money. That's me. But the final scene, they show Professor McGonagall's face. And as someone that is a McGonagall, I know that face. And that face was, I'm about to lose so much fucking money right now because I bet the wrong team here. And I don't think you're right about the hedge based off of her face there. She that was like a face of like, I'm in a lot of trouble. My legs might get broken. That turned from that to like, that's not like losing a house cup. That's like my livelihood is at stake here. Turned for that to like elation of like, thank God. And then she probably let it ride. You know, you got to let it ride once you get into a hot streak. So
yeah.
I'm going to agree with you on your gambling take from last ep. And I apologize for not understanding it. Now I get it.
Yeah, I think they took her back before the scene and they said, hold on, we've been holding this information from you because we want this to be natural, but now we have to disclose that Professor McGonagall has this serious gambling issue and she's been gambling on the House Cup for years, and this is her, and you know, they broke it all down for her. So Maggie Smith did a great job, really bringing that to the screen. My next stock up is, it's just John Williams. It's gotta be, because he turns out an epic score with an even more epic title theme every decade. He had Star Wars in the 70s, Indiana Jones in the 80s, Jurassic Park in the 90s. Some would say Home Alone's like a good score, but not necessarily like a title theme. And then he's got Harry Potter in 2000s. And interestingly enough, there's kind of a lot of back and forth or controversy or whatever the thing is, criticism around the score in this. I thought it was fantastic. I think we both agree that the title track, Hedwig's theme, is up there with like some of the best.
Yeah, what's the negative comments on it? I've never heard
the
anyone
negative
say.
Comments were more about that it's just all these like crescendo after crescendo after crescendo, which it is, but it still is whimsical and magical
Huh?
and
They're
fun.
like, it's too good. Whatever you do, don't make it as good as it is. We don't want it to be that good. What? That doesn't make any sense.
I think he only did the first 3, and then some other people came on for the other ones.
We saw the fireworks, and you just did the whole time as like as a grand finale. We don't want that. We want it like to be shitty for 5 minutes and then one grand finale. Is that what they're basically saying?
Yeah, maybe that's what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, too much grand finale, and we need
Yeah.
some more subtlety. But
Okay.
the fireworks were flying, and I was enjoying them.
Yeah, I liked it
wholeheartedly
too.
throughout this whole
I don't
thing.
get it.
We'll probably talk about this in later books. If you notice the intro theme when they do it, when the title comes up, it changes for every movie, and like as the movies progress, it slowly gets like darker and darker and darker, which is wonderful because the story advances and ages with its readers. And this first one is just so lighthearted and fun, even though it's like dun 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 dun, because we get that first intro scene. I just love the score, and John Williams just like sent it out. They were looking for who's going to be a composer, and he's like, oh, let me take 5 minutes and put this song together, and that's what they sent him. And he was like, yeah. Chris Columbus was like, okay, yeah, he's got the job. What about Stuck Downs?
Stuck down British traditions. I referenced it in the
okay.
intro. I'm glad our forefathers in Boston threw that tea into the harbor so we didn't have to deal with these British traditions, kid. Namely, and really mostly just only Happy Christmas.
Yeah, I was
What the
wondering
hell
if
is
that was
Happy
going to be
Christmas?
brought up.
And they said it like 6 times. There's like no need for it to be drilled in like that. I mean, if you're going to change it to Philosopher's Stone, change Happy Christmas to Merry Christmas.
Couldn't agree with you more. It was in my notes.
It's like nails going on a chalkboard. Oh, God, that was terrible. But I will say there were a few tidbits that I did like. There's the snitch was wicked fast, which, I mean, you should have said it with a Boston accent. What fucking kid, that snitch was wicked fast, kid. But that's okay. We'll take it. I like we'll take the lot. You don't think you mentioned
Big
that,
fan
but like
of
when
that.
the
Yep.
when the candy truck comes by or cart comes by, you just say, yeah, we'll take the lot. Like, give it here.
Yeah, take everything.
Yeah, and then I also did like, how's it, Harry? Like Hagrid's big saying. Like, how's it going? But it's just, how's it? I like that a lot. It's kind of like in Australia when they would just say, how you doing? No, what would they say? How you going? All the time. That's like, what's going on? And I just would never know how to respond to that.
Oh,
I'd be like,
there's only one response. You say, never better.
I'd be like, well, damn it. Like, I had no idea to respond to it ever. And this is another thing which I didn't like either, is that I was like, this is a country that made Mary Poppins. How do they not know Merry Christmas? But turns out Mary Poppins is Mary. I didn't know that.
Name.
I thought it was I thought she was Mary.
Like, you thought it was Happy Poppins?
Yeah, I thought it was like a play on words, but it turns out her name's actually Mary, and it has nothing to do with Mary being Mary. I thought Mary was a British term, honestly. I thought that's where it came from. So, stock down British traditions either way.
Yeah, I agree with you that I thought the term Mary sounds like something that would come from across the pond. But I'm not going to let this one go. Did you never see Mary Poppins as a kid?
I saw it. They're not like spelling her name on the sand.
Usually, like, people's names aren't adjective and then name. Like,
Goodwill Hunting. I beg you to differ. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. How about that? I had that one chambered, ready to
They
go.
don't call him Goodwill.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. It's a play on words.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. You're not going to.
Yeah, I'll take. Give me an apology. Give me an apology for that. You know what?
apologize.
Not you. You're not bad. I mean, what is it? Harry's not bad. Hagrid's not bad.
Not me. Not
Ron's
you.
not
Not
bad.
Hermione.
You're bad.
My first stock down is artistic expression.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, if you put this story in the hands of some directors, I feel like it could have gone totally awry. And it almost did, I feel like, based on who they had potentials with. Granted, they started off with Steven Spielberg. And obviously, I'm sure Steven Spielberg would have made a wonderful movie. That guy, all he does is make great movies. I get it. But he wanted to do a, like, cartoon version of it. And he wanted Haley Joel Osment to play Harry, which is, like, just not going to hit for me. Or, like, voice Harry. There was some, like, he wanted to make it darker. He wanted to, like, start incorporating other pieces of future books in it. So The movie's already long itself. I don't know how you could stay true to the source material while also including more stuff from future books. That didn't seem to make a lot of sense. He eventually turned it down, and I guess he said, basically because it wasn't a challenge to him, he was like, nah, I'm good. It'd be like if you asked Tom Brady to play in your San Diego flag football league for a game. He'd be like, no, that's just not worth it for me. He's like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah. Other fun fact, by the way, I'll just throw in there is because you said Haley Joel Osment, M. Night Shyamalan was also rumored, which would have been, I think, would have been very interesting as a director.
Yeah, he actually made, from my understanding, he made the short list. Like, it was between him and a few others.
It would have been, the turns would have been fucking awesome if he made it. He'd be like, wait, those ghosts the whole time have been dead?
Yeah. He would have made, like, the turn...
Just got that.
Yeah, Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense, I got it. Yeah, really well done. He would have just, I feel like he would have made the turns to be nonsensical, or he would have like double turned, like it actually was Snape. JK would be like, that's not exactly how it's supposed to work out. But yeah, I'm not sure about M. Night Shyamalan, considering he's done like one or two good movies. Just doesn't hit for me. But also, Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame, he was in the final running. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of his movies. 12 Monkeys. Heard of it?
Oh, yeah, that's a weird one. I like it, though.
They're quite out there. No, he's not bad by any means, but they're just a little out there, like I said. He did direct a movie for kids. The movie's called Time Bandits. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but it is super weird. Super weird movie. So yeah, I'm just glad that it fell into the hands of Chris Columbus, who we all know from, Home Alone. He like wrote a bunch of movies too. So I just think he just brought J.K. Rowling's story to life, which is all you need to do when you have all these, like the story is already phenomenal. You have these magical elements, just put them on screen. And I was a big fan of what he did with that. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think this needed to be a fastball down the middle movie. You didn't need to throw any curveballs or any junk on the corners. You just put it right down the middle and say, hit it. And I think it was pretty fastball down the middle. I appreciated it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need to do too much. So artistic expression, take that out, throw it away. J.K. Rowling already brought the artistic expression. Just bring that to life. Did you have any other stuck downs?
Yeah, my last one actually ties in pretty similar to yours. And this is more my younger self saying this, but things being as you imagined, stock down. So I do actually think on rewatch it was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. I thought I was like, oh, this is much better than I remember. Because again, I only watched the first one when I was younger. Didn't like it. Didn't watch any of the rest of them.
Wait, hold on. We didn't set this up correctly, because as we're doing this trip through the Wizarding world, Keith is a big fan of the Harry Potter books, which he's read all of them, presumably multiple times to different degrees. Mm-hmm. But the movies, he started this off by saying, I have never seen the movies. And then he came back saying that you've seen the first one, correct?
I watched the first one and then said, I'm not watching any more of these. I refuse out of principle.
So that's why you haven't seen the rest of them, is because you didn't like the first movie and you just said, I'm out.
Yeah. It was mostly because I went to it and they started saying these words I didn't know. That like I said, I read it as I'm not joking. I read it as Quidditch the whole time, every single book, until I heard the movie. They say Quidditch, and I said, "Pardon? What's that word?" So I didn't know until the movie. So it was kind of more of an I felt insulted, but my intelligence a little bit.
I don't care for that. That's not it.
Yeah, so it pissed me off. Yeah. I still think it should be named Quidditch. Anywho, that was the one reason. Obviously, like Hermione, I called her Hermione. Those things didn't matter. But I did like it. The one thing, though, that I wasn't as I imagined, I already mentioned the hat. The second thing, Ollivander, I thought he was kind of supposed to be that dude that's like super into his craft. He doesn't even care about the money, honestly. It's really about just like the wand itself and the story and the understanding of it. Mm-hmm. That's what he lived on. And this, I almost thought he was a bad guy. He goes to the store. I mean, it should be like a dude that's like an artist, right? Like he's like, what is it that you want to do? Like, what are you trying? What kind of medium are you looking for? What kind of brushes? Like, what is it out there that you're looking for? But you go to that scene and has this like ominous presence about him the whole time. He's like having his store explode for some reason. I don't really understand what was going on there. He's just blowing up the store. But he finally picks a wand out and he's like, interesting. This is the sibling wand of Voldemort. And he did great things.
Terrible.
Terrible. Yeah, terrible. But great things. Imagine going to that art store, D-Man. And the guy's like, "Oh, you're picking out those watercolors, huh? Ah, that's the same as Hitler's watercolors that he used when he painted. And he did great things. Terrible, but great things." Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's not a great look for Ollivander,
No,
honestly.
I was like, what the hell? So he might be a
book.
Dark Lord.
It is from the book, though.
But I think he was like gassing him up. He was a great wizard before he became terrible, like that type of thing.
Yeah.
And this, he was like, he was awesome. Oh, yeah, by the way, footnote, I guess he killed a bunch of people, but he was awesome.
I think that was probably just like John Hurt going all in, because he's got one scene. He's John Hurt. I mean, he's been in some stuff. He's a great actor. Well, he's like probably most famous for like The Elephant Man. He was in Alien, V for Vendetta. He played like the main bad guy or whatever.
Yeah.
He's
okay,
in
so he just played the bad guy.
Hellboy.
You didn't know he wasn't the bad guy.
Yeah. So he was like, they didn't tell him. They just said, you're this guy. He never read the books. He just read his part in this, and he was like, oh, so I work for Voldemort. Got it.
Yeah, that's basically.
Yeah, they have the person on set who's like the script manager, like make sure that people are following the script or whatever the case is. He asked that person right beforehand. He's like, wait, so I'm a bad guy and I work for Voldemort, right? And before they could correct him, the director said action. And he was just went for it.
That makes sense to me, honestly.
Yeah, that's deep down the Wikipedia page. But yeah, it's in there. Let's go through our quick favorite scene here because, like we said, this is pretty true to the source material. There was some things shaved off and whatnot, which we'll get into later. But just for, what was your favorite scene, maybe as it pertains to bringing the wizarding world to your eyes for the first time?
Yeah, I think the first time, at least, Hogwarts itself and like the stairs moving and different things and the actual overall size of Hogwarts, like that was hard to picture in my mind. And what's interesting is that J.K. Rowling drew a map of Hogwarts for the productions designer, and they referenced it for all the movies. So, like, it was actually true to what she was imagining.
She just gave them a copy of the Marauders map and said, here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. I mean, just the set pieces themselves, I thought was great. And just to understand that now, I think you're, like, automatically imagine that. But that wasn't a thing until the movies happened, I feel like, at least for me.
It's one of those things where you never know whether you like it or not. I read the first book, or maybe the first couple books, like before the movie came out. Mm-hmm. And then when the movie comes out, any future books, it's hard to get the pictures that they put for the characters and whatnot, like, out of your head. So I do think they made good decisions, so I'm not upset about it necessarily, but it's just interesting how that skews your brain.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, number one has to be the first Quidditch scene, like the match against Slytherin, because, like I said on the previous pod, in the book, it's so short. It's like 2 or 3 pages. And maybe I hadn't read the book in so long, and I've seen the movie more, that I was like, wait, this is like, there's a lot going on here. Why isn't this in the book? So I'm glad they stretched that out a little bit for the movie, because it should be a super fun scene. We're talking about a wizarding sport. Harry's really good at it. It's super cool. The whole school goes, and it's a great moment for Harry, as well as the plot line with him falling off his broom and flailing and whatnot. So I just loved the Quidditch in general. I thought the CGI was actually pretty good. There's maybe one part in that where one of the people on the broom, one of the teams, like, flies up, and you can tell her face is like really CGI'd.
I thought the first scene where he's on the broom was not great, but the Quidditch was good.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So yeah, I just love the Quidditch scene. It made me love Quidditch or Quidditch, whichever one you prefer. And then right under there is Diagon Alley and Gringotts, because, like I said before in the last pod, and it did do that thing, which I loved, because in the book they explain, like, Harry looking around and seeing all the crazy stuff that's going on in Diagon Alley, like seeing the magical world for the first time. And they do that in the movie, like a quick cut of, these animals, and then a quick cut of this apothecary, and a quick cut of, like, kids in the street playing with wizarding stuff. So as you're watching it, you're doing exactly what Harry would be doing, just trying to, like, soak everything in as quickly as possible. And then you tie that into the whole Gringotts experience, which is, all of these goblins, which are, like, super creepy, honestly. If you're a kid, it's like,
yeah,
the goblins might be the scariest ones. Which our boy Vern Troyer, by the way, plays Griphook in when they go to the vaults. He plays that goblin, which is Griphook, who comes in later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mini-me for sure. But yeah, so those two really stuck out for me. But I will agree when they're in the boats going up to Hogwarts, I was like, that's cool. And then obviously all the stuff inside. Let's do a quick pick your character. So this is going to be focused on the movie itself as opposed to the book where we're focusing on the actual character more. Like this is more like pick your actor who plays that character. Did you have anyone that stood out to you that just hit home for you as what you imagined that character being?
Yeah, I think the best actor was Snape, aka the Die Hard guy. I mean, I don't think I'm on a ledge there saying that. I think probably most people would say that, but I think his character is really well portrayed because in the book, it does seem like he's just super vendetta heavy that just like hates Harry. Where this, you're just like, oh, he's kind of just like a mean teacher that also doesn't like Harry. It's like, but it's not just as obvious.
It's like, oh, this guy's just a total dick. Got it.
Yeah. So it seems a little bit more even kill, and you're like, and the turn is going to be way better knowing like just because he is that kind of force in the movie. So yeah, I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I think Alan Rickman does a really good job, which is interesting because it was supposed to be Tim Roth for that role. Tim Roth's in a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies. He's in like Pulp Fiction and whatnot, if you can't remember. He's a great actor, and I like him, but Alan Rickman just, I think he takes it away. And I would almost, for my character, I would almost do like D, all of the above, because I really did think that it was cast super well in general. Mm-hmm. I love Richard Harris. I've loved him since The Gladiator, which I think came out the year before. I'm pretty sure 2000, The Gladiator came out. So I loved him in that movie, and then he pretty much plays the same character, but as Dumbledore, which I was all for. So big fan of Richard Harris as Dumbledore. He supposedly didn't want to do the film, but his granddaughter said she would never talk to him again if he didn't play Dumbledore. So he said, deal, which I respect.
I was just looking at him up, and he does a movie called Camelot, and he looks exactly like Malfoy in it. It's kind of crazy. Look at the cover. I was like, is that Malfoy older version of him?
Oh, yeah. What? It does. It looks like an older version of Malfoy with like a little Van Dyke beard or something going on. Yeah, so big fan of Richard Harris. And then Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid and Maggie Smith as McGonagall. We've talked about that a little bit. I thought Hagrid was perfect. I know that in the last one you had said that Robin Williams wanted to be it, but he couldn't because it was an all British cast. But Robin Williams would have done some like Robin Williams-y things with it, which I love Robin Williams, but it just doesn't fit here for Hagrid.
It probably would have been more of a comic relief where I don't think the Hagrid in this was necessarily like super funny. So yeah, I can see that.
Like he has funny moments, but it's not, he doesn't need to be the star of the scene. He's Hagrid.
That's a good point.
And I think Robbie Coltrane and Maggie Smith were the two that J.K. Rowling was like, here are the people who I want for these roles. Other than that, she didn't have like a big feeling. Let's get into some quick studio notes. So the film rights to the first 4 books were bought by Warner Brothers for £1 million British pounds, which is, I think, or at the time was like 1.6 million US dollars. Rowling, like we said, she insisted to cast be British and Irish. I think the only 2 Irish people, though, are Richard Harris and Petunia Dursley. I think those are the only 2 Irish people. It grossed $1 billion with a B. Second highest grossing film of all time, supposedly. This is according to Wikipedia, and obviously this was at the time of its release. Now it's nowhere on the list because there's been 10 billion Marvel movies that have surpassed it. But even then, it didn't make a lot of sense to me because it's like highest grossing film of all time. Well, like Gone with the Wind is number 1, and this is after Titanic. So how could it be the second highest if it's behind those two? So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Do you want to do some book to movie changes?
Yeah.
Harry has blue eyes in the movie, not green as they should be, but I guess they tried to give Daniel Radcliffe some like green contact lenses, but they were making him blind. Not actually, but they were irritating him.
He's not method. You gotta go method for that. Come on, bud.
He's definitely method. He drops his dong out on stage. Anyone that's doing that is
Pardon
method.
Me? What?
Yeah, in a play. In a play in Great Britain, he was doing
he
that.
He exposes his wand on stage?
Yeah, exactly. in Gorgio. And his parents like didn't even want him to be in the movies. They were like, no, this is going to have too much media attention. We don't want that for our son. And Chris Columbus basically said they'd take care of him. The casting director quit because they had got like done too much auditions and these open audition calls, and he was like, no, Chris Columbus was like, not Harry, not Harry, not Harry, not Harry. He's like, I just want this Daniel Radcliffe kid. That's all I want. She was like, I quit. But eventually he was able to convince them. So I think once he started putting contacts in their kids' eyes and their kids coming home bloodshot, they were like, nah, we're good on that. Joe Rowling said it's okay if he has blue eyes in it. Do you have some book to movie change you want to call out?
I like the scene where Hagrid knocks on the door and Dudley starts eating Harry's cake. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't think that happened in the book, right? No. I chuckled at that. It also made more sense why he gave him like a pig's tail rather than being like, don't say anything bad about Dumbledore. Like,
talking about Hagrid, he wouldn't have just left Harry at the train station. You know, he's at King's Cross and he looks at his watch and like, whoa, I'm late to get this to Dumbledore. It's like, you can apparate, right? He can still do wizarding stuff. So it's going to take you 2 seconds. It's an 11-year-old boy. He doesn't know how to get on the train station. Like, you would take him to his destination. In the book, it's the Dursleys who are just like, go screw. So that makes a lot more sense because they would do that. So I just think it took a little bit away from Hagrid as Harry's protector. Not that it was a big, oh my God, how dare they change that kind of thing.
He's got to figure it out. He's a wizard. Come on, grow up.
Yeah, you got to grow up fast in Hogwarts. Otherwise, you'll die, as we discussed in the last one. No Sorting Hat song. That was a little bit bigger of an issue to me. The song is quick. It's 30 seconds. Put the Sorting Hat in, and the song is kind of key to me. So maybe the Hufflepuff and Slytherin PR folks finally got to Warner Brothers and said, take that song out because it's not very nice to us. And they decided not to do it. The Norbert story was cut way short and changed. Yeah. So they changed kind of that whole thing around.
That seemed a little rushed, the ending there. It was like, now you get detention. It's like, what? Why?
Yeah, and Malfoy saw the dragon egg, but it didn't really matter, and then Dumbledore just took it away. So yeah. I didn't love it, but at the same time, for the interest of time, having to put in another 10 minutes or so of them going to give Ron's brother this dragon, it didn't need to happen like that. So I was okay with it. And the only other one was we're going to get to one in listener mail, so I'm going to hold on to that, but they got rid of the troll test and the logic test to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. Totally fine. The wizard chess was all you needed. After that, it makes a lot of sense. Hermione stays with Ron and Harry goes on. Because not me, not Hermione, you. Dumbledore's picture on the chocolate frog when they're on the train. It's the only thing that really bothers me about this movie. Like, gets under my skin and makes me really fucking angry. Harry's first time at seeing magical pictures, and it's like, oh, the pictures move, and Harry gets the Dumbledore card, and it's just like a hologram. It's like one of those hologram cards you get at the bottom of a Fruit Loops box in the 90s. All the other pictures we see are actually moving wizards. Why didn't they do the same thing with Dumbledore? It seems so easy to do. And it's Harry's first look and our first look as an audience at these moving pictures in the wizarding world. And it's a legit, like, dumb freaking hologram card that we muggles get. It was not magical whatsoever. It made zero sense. And he's like, oh, he's gone. It's like, yeah, sometimes they leave the frame. It's like, what leaves the frame? That stupid hologram picture leaves the frame? It didn't make any sense. It honestly, it irks me every time I see it. Like,
I agree with you, but also those cards and like the subsets and baseball cards, those were fucking awesome. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I mean, I agree. It wasn't necessarily very magical.
Yeah, you get those in baseball cards, and it seems cool for us Muggle people. It wouldn't be cool for a wizard.
I will say the thing that angered me the most was that they do the whole Merry Christmas and Christmas scene, but they don't show Harry getting a sweater. My girl, Mrs. Weasley, that's her biggest role. She's like basically a mom to Harry, and they don't even get that. So that upset me.
It's like, you have one here too. It's like, okay, cool, but what's this other gift? Because I want to open that.
take 2 seconds. Show him opening a sweater and putting on, becoming a part of the family, and his future mother-in-law.
He's not even wearing it later when he goes on his expedition, which is what he should. He should just, even if they just had him wearing that later.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with it.
I also thought it was weird when they first showed Diagon Alley. I was just like, why is everyone dressed up like it's the 1700s?
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense. I was picturing that it would be like JP from Grandma's Boy, like these like futuristic trench coats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted. I mean, why? I didn't really make sense why they're going back in time.
Yeah, it was interesting that they like went hard in the paint with like Victorian England, because even the hairstyles and whatnot, when they're in the Diagon Alley, it's like these guys have sideburns. It's like Ambrose Burnside, who actually is the reason why that name came up, who's a Civil War general, but he's got those sideburns that like go halfway down your face and are like super bushy. I'm like, oh, that seems like a 1800s, 1700s thing. But I understand that witches and wizards are like kind of in that time in our mind, so that's where I guess the fashion sense is. But
my last one too is just the ending scene when he sees Quirrell. He has his wand out and then he just like puts it away. He's like, all right, and he's like, come over here, and he's like, okay. I'm like, what? There's no magic or anything forcing him to do anything. He's just it's like didn't really make sense. If you didn't read the book, you'd be like, why is he doing these things? It doesn't, in the book is like he's forcing him to do this stuff. He's like has the wand out, but yeah. So I didn't really get that.
When he's like touching Quirrell and like he touches his hand like disintegrates. I was like, oh, is this the Mummy? Are we watching the Mummy with Brendan Fraser? All right, let's get into some quick sorting.
I got some questions for you if you want me to run you through them.
You sorting questions?
Yeah, and I'll determine what house you go in.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I don't know if you made these up or not. So.
Well, a couple of them I added to, but other than that, I pulled them from the site.
Okay.
First question. You would be most hurt if a person called you weak, ignorant, unkind, not good at reading.
I'd say ignorant.
It's your 5th year at Hogwarts, and you've just received a howler from your parents. What for? Sneaking into the Forbidden Forest at night on a dare, getting caught cheating on your owls, nothing, I never do anything to warrant a howler, or sneaking into the Slytherin's girls section and receiving detention.
That's the Slytherin restricted section, and I would be slithering in. Probably the first one, the going out in the Forbidden Forest. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sounds
wow.
like fun.
All right. Brave. Interesting. The first Quidditch match of the season is approaching, and you can't wait to get involved. What role are you playing? Seeker, Chaser, Beater, or I'll be in the crowd supporting the team?
I'd like to be on the team. I don't know if I would, but in my dream, I'm going to be on the team. And considering I am a light and quick man, I would go with Seeker. Although I don't think that's really fair. Like I don't think I would be a Seeker, but I'm definitely not a Beater.
Kid's the best, huh? Okay.
That's not it. That's not it. That's what I'm trying to say. Did you say Keeper? Was that an option?
They didn't have that option,
yeah,
but
so
I
would have said that, but you didn't make it an option.
Keeper. All right, noted. That was option E. Which path do you intend to follow after leaving Hogwarts? I join the Ministry. I want to make the difference in the world. I'd travel for a while, before committing to a career. I'd settle down and start a family as soon as possible, and I'd start a book club podcast.
D. I'd start a book club podcast.
Good answer. I had that one in there last second. Last one, and this is the most important one. Which of these most accurately describes your relationship with the Buddy Book Club? A. I'm a diehard listener and supporter. B. Listening to the Buddy Book Club is like watching 16 and Pregnant. I know I should feel bad for them, but I can't look away. C. I'll be giving the Buddy Book Club a 5-star review because every time I listen, they give me a confidence boost about my intelligence. Or D. What the hell is Buddy Book Club? I came here for the BBC.
Oh, I'm going to go with C. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Based off those answers, it says squib here based on my calculations. but I can't. That's got to be wrong. I will give you Ravenclaw.
Oh, thanks. That's what the test on the internet gave me as well too. But for sorting in general, in the early days of Hogwarts, the 4 founders used to handpick the students for their houses. It wasn't, but then the founders were worried about how the students would be selected after they died. So Godric Gryffindor took his hat off and said, all right, each of you put some brains in it. And then someone must have poured a bottle of brandy in as well, and the sorting hat was created.
I like how Gryffindor just comes up with everything that's good.
Yeah,
Like, oh, who did that? The Gryffindor dude.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty messed up. Just the whole canon of everything. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this sword. Oh, it's Godric Gryffindor's sword. It's like, oh,
We're also learning in this next book, not spoilers, but like, what's the redeeming quality of Slytherin? I don't understand. He's just a
Very
shitty
little.
person. Yeah.
I did have a lingering question that I did want to talk about
okay.
because you just said that. So this was kind of bothering me from the book. But how did Slytherin win the House Cup for 6 years straight? It doesn't make any sense to me because in the book it's like, oh, they're going to win for the 7th year, and then Gryffindor comes in at the end.
Because Quidditch is worth 150 points, kid. That's why.
Okay, so whatever. But you get negative points for rule breaking. And there wasn't a wizard that didn't go bad or whatever the case that wasn't Slytherin, which even whenever Hagrid says that quote or whenever I read it, I still get confused. But basically all the bad wizards are in Slytherin. And so presumably they're also breaking rules at school and doing terrible things. Look at book 2. So how does Slytherin win for 6 straight years if they're presumably getting the most negative points?
Well, Snape never gives any negatives to his own class, we've seen, whereas McGonagall has proven that she'll give negative 150 to anyone that steps out of line, even if they're in their own class. So definitely that's the reason right there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay. Fair
She's
enough.
like, why do we keep losing? Why do I keep betting all this money here? It's like, well, because you keep giving negative points to everyone.
So you're a terrible gambler. Like, you have control of the outcome. And the only other kind of lingering question before we get into listener mail was, and it wasn't even a lingering question, more of a comment, but it's kind of crazy to me that no teacher at the school gives Harry any background on his parents. Because, one, he's famous, and two, you all knew his parents. Like, during the war, you guys were all in the Order together, working to fight the Dark Lord. They were presumably your close friends. So this is their son. Wouldn't you have him over in between classes, like for tea, and just be like, hey, here's some anecdotal stories of your parents so that you can kind of get to know them a little bit better, or tell him about the people that they were? Something. He still doesn't know who his parents are. He's like staring at the mirror of Erised, and Dumbledore's like, don't come back here, when instead he should be like, hey, instead, why don't you come up to my office and we'll talk about your parents and I'll give you some information about them.
Maybe because their parents sucked. Maybe that's what the answer is. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. At least Hagrid gives him that photo book at the end.
Right, yeah.
Which is like, why aren't more people doing that? Or maybe Hagrid went around and collected all the photos, and Hagrid's actually a decent person, except when he left them at platform 9 3/4. Listener mail.
You've got mail.
Listener mail, you can email us. On our website, there's a form you can sign out, or all this stuff. Just slide us into DMs or Twitter or Instagram, whatever the case is. But here we go. Hey, buddies, longtime charmer, first-time spellcaster. Very well done. Wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on a question in 2 parts. What are y'all's thoughts on Peeves not being included in the movies? And 2, if you were a Hogwarts student, how would you prank Peeves? I'll take my flu powder and listen. Magic. I'm not sure what the flu powder would do. Like, he's going to fly away after that? Like, I'll take my leave? Oh, interesting. I'll take my leave kind of thing. I like it. Well,
I like it a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you,
Magic.
Yeah, thank you for that. So, like I said, there was one movie fact that we didn't include, book to movie difference, and it's that Peeves isn't in it, and he's not in any of the movies. Very interesting idea. He was cast, and he does have scenes in the movies, although they've never been released because they eventually hit the cutting room floor. But yeah, it's unfortunate because you do get a little nearly headless. They reference the Bloody Baron. They're like, oh, there's the Bloody Baron. And you see the Fat Friar. But I don't think anyone else is, like, talked about. Peeves, I feel like, is not integral, obviously, but like a fun side character. So I'm a little peeved. He wasn't included, personally. What do you think? Does that matter for you?
I think he's kind of annoying in the book, so I didn't really mind that he wasn't in it. Also, they always describe him as Peeves the Poltergeist, which, what is that, some sort of gymnast? I don't even know what that is. So that's why I was always confused by that. To prank him, I think the answer to that is just, basically, we find out in the next book, so sorry, I'm reading ahead, but just be eating food in front of him. He's like trying to like make fun of you or prank you. I just be like, oh, These chicken wings, man, let me tell you, they taste really, really good. A lot better than rotten fish you guys are eating downstairs. So, yeah, so that's how I would prank him, just getting his head a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good one because I honestly didn't really have a good prank for peas, but knowing that they can't enjoy food the way we do, that makes too much sense, honestly. I think the only other thing we really know about Peeves is he's like deathly afraid of the Bloody Baron, so you could just do a bunch of Bloody Baron cutouts, put them around, or learn some magical ways to magic some fake Bloody Barons around just so he's always on edge. But either way, I mean, worst case, you can bring in Tangina Barons for a seance, who's the spiritual medium from the movie Poltergeist. I think she would do. She was
What
very...
is a poltergeist?
I think a poltergeist is just like a ghost, but it's a ghost that messes with stuff. Pushes stuff around or knocks stuff down, makes noises.
So isn't that a little redundant then?
Yeah, because you feel like other ghosts do that too, but maybe other ghosts don't, and poltergeists are more that type. Don't fact check me on that. Yeah, they could be a gymnast. On the whole, I was really pleased, especially we've done a few of these, and a lot of them don't really stick to the source material, and I think they did a good job of trimming where it was able to be trimmed while also keeping everything. And it is a long-running movie. It runs like 2.5 hours, but it never felt the pace was off until I agree with you that at the end, things happen like super duper quick, which they do in the book too, and I did mention that in the last one, but I was like watching it. Actually, I finished it this afternoon, and I was like, "Oh, where do they go from here? Like, they could go to the trap door from here?" And it's like, boom, 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 movie's over. It's like, oh, okay, there we are. So I guess we're doing the pod just like that too. All right, Keith, what do we got coming up next?
We got book 2 coming up next, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So we move right along to book 2. Join us on the marathon. Let us know if you have any thoughts. Reach out. But let's keep this train going, the Hogwarts Express going.
Absolutely. Everyone loves Harry Potter. So if you got something to say, we'd love to hear it, honestly. Well, Keith, I'll catch you for next time. I am doing a little Jim Dale for this one, so I'm excited to talk about that. I started reading the hardcover, but I'm on vacation this week, and it was tough to decide to sit down and read. So when I drive places, I just kind of get a little Jim Dale in my ear.
Oh, God. What?
All right, I'll catch you next time for Chamber of Secrets.
All right. Bye now.
Bye now.